Hey guys, welcome to our channel. We are your host, Penny and the Flynn. And today we're building something a little bit different, something unique. We are building a fire lookout tower. So I know this is under the category of architectural spotlight, and this may seem like a very strange thing to feature as an architectural type, but I really feel like this style of build deserves a spotlight for today. It's such a unique thing, and it has a really big history especially in the United States, but also around the world. So a fire lookout tower is basically what the name suggests. It was a tower that was built to have a person man it and look for fires and then call those fires in, and to hopefully prevent huge wildfires from happening. So this fire lookout tower we are building today in Granite Falls. So it is a rental. I'm also building this in a way that you could definitely live in it if you want it elsewhere. So I think this is pretty cool. So the fire lookout towers were built of either wood or steel. They are very small. They're either 9 feet by 9 feet or 18 feet by 18 feet. I feel like the one I did is probably a little bit on the bigger side. It was really hard to try to get proportions right in The Sims. I would have preferred to do a little bit smaller, just for that squished in tiny living quarters. But I feel like this is still within possibly those 18 foot by 18 foot standards. We'll see what you think. These towers had very basic accommodations. There was no electricity, no running water. So the supplies needed had to be carried in. Flynn. Chewing on my earring. So these fire towers began to be built in the early 1910s. There was a huge fire of 1910, and it was also known as the Big Blow Up. And the Big Blow Up burned about 3 million acres of forest in the states of Washington, Idaho, and Montana. And these huge fires killed at least 85 people. Yes, I know. When. So a lot of these people that died were firefighters. So after these huge fires happened, fire prevention and suppression kind of came to the fore and was a big topic, and people realized something needed to be done with this. And so towers started to be built. In 1933, President Roosevelt formed the Civilian Conservation Corps, and they helped build many of these towers. And then by the late 1930s, there were over 5,000 of these towers that were built. Also in World War II, these towers also served as lookout towers to spot enemy aircraft. These towers were manned by one person, and early fire spotters also served as firefighters, or as they were known then as smoke chasers. And they fought fires with tools that they were able to carry. And they weren't always manned. The first woman who served as a fire lookout was Hallie Daggett in 1913. Early on, communication was done through Morse code using a heliograph, which was 2 mirrors that would reflect the sunlight. As time went by, telephone systems were later installed, and then even further on from that, radios started to be used. The typical max surveillance range of one of these towers was a 20-mile radius. As we continue on in time, by the 1950s, only a few hundred towers were left in service. And then throughout the years, as technology increased, and advanced from being able to use airplanes to drones to thermal imaging, those numbers slowly declined even more. There are still some of these lookout towers that are in service today, but there's really not many left. The really interesting thing about these towers is the National Park Services are now allowing these to be rented out as basically a cabin. So you can make reservations and go and stay in one of these towers. So that just sounds really cool. This is now something I really want to do. And something else I found, and I don't know how many have been transformed into this way, but I did see one that has been transformed into a tiny house that is on private land. Also, really awesome. I love seeing what people can do with these older structures. Excuse me. And seeing what they can turn them into. It's really, really cool. In some of these fire lookout towers, you will still find the Osborne Firefinder, and some of the towers that are in operation today are also using this. So this contraption, this invention, was made to help specifically pinpoint where these fires were coming from. You'll have to look it up. It's really interesting. It's hard to describe it. And I'm going to link an article in the description. There was a really good article from BBC this summer that kind of follows the lives of some of the last fire spotters that are still working today. So if you kind of want to see what their life is like, a day in the life of, I'll have that link below. It's really, really interesting. So there you have it. These were the beginnings of fire management, basically, in the United States. So I just thought this was a kind of fun, unique style of architecture. So I have the main living area here, and then as we go on a little bit, that lower level of coming up with the stairs, I made a little outdoor recreation area. That upper level I kept completely clear on the outer part, because if this was still a functioning tower, I don't think you would want anything blocking your view and possibly causing you to trip, because if you were to spot a fire and you needed to go outside and see better, I felt like this would be the most realistic for one that would still be active. So then we have that little like recreation area on the lower part. And the stairs are not very realistic in The Sims. I'm sorry about that. I tried adding some supports and stuff and it just did not look good. And what I wanted to do for like foundations and support for the stairs totally did not work. So we have these huge ladder-like stairs that don't have support. I know, it's just The Sims though. So yeah, I try to keep things realistic most of the time, but yeah. So here's that lower level. And I'm not putting a lot of stuff here because I also figure if this is in the middle of nowhere, how realistic is it that there's going to be a lot of stuff brought out? It would take a lot of work, a lot of effort, especially to get all this stuff up the stairs. So I'm just trying to be realistic here. And as we go, you'll see too, this build has a lot of landscaping to make it feel like it's in the woods and to make it really feel realistic. So about half of this, or maybe a little less than half of the video, is going to be landscaping. If you get bored with it, you can skip ahead. I have screenshots always at the end and some video so you can kind of tour the place. So if you get bored here, you can go ahead and skip ahead. I did have to cut out a little bit of the footage of landscaping just because it got to be a little much. So because of the shape I did here with using the landscaping tools and creating that kind of mound, the trees and the plants did not want to sit right. They were all elevated way above the ground. So this was the first time I used the tool mod. So I think most people know what the tool mod is, but if you don't, it's a modification for the game that allows you to do some pretty cool stuff. So raising and lowering things, changing the size of things, rotating. People have done some really awesome stuff with the tool mod, and I'm really excited to start experimenting with it more in the future. This is the first time I ever used it, and yeah, it was great. Otherwise, I did not know how I was going to landscape this. So as you see, I had to lower a lot of stuff because it just wanted to float in the air. That just drives me crazy in this game. Like, why is it way up in the air? I don't know. So this took a lot of time. So I kept some of it in so you can kind of see how this works and how much work it is to do all this. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, I didn't keep everything in just because, yeah, it would get a little bit boring. I was getting a little bit bored having to go through and do all this myself. You don't like it either? I'm sorry. Are you just grumpy? I don't know. Why is he always grumpy when I want to record? Are you grumpy because it's cold and rainy today? Maybe. He's really floofy today. He looks so cute and poofy and floofy. And I think it's possibly getting used to the slightly cooler temperatures. But yeah, I don't know why you're so grumpy. I don't know. You want your head scratched? Yeah, okay. So, yeah, as we go with all this landscaping, lots of landscaping, okay, so here's a whole nother thing. For the whole toilet shower thing, I was also thinking, what is realistic? They do not have running water, and I haven't seen any that have toilets in the tower. So I think what's done is a lot of them are pit toilets that are located further away, or like little outhouses. Oh my. So what I ended up doing was putting in the public restrooms that came with the outdoor retreat pack. And I know your hygiene goes up a little bit by using those. And I did not include a shower because I felt like that was the most realistic thing. I did put a sink into the main living area, and that is the only thing that actually requires water. So if you wanted to take this and make it a house to live in that you are off the grid, you can just remove that sink and you can put in off the grid one. I didn't like the off the grid sinks. They just didn't fit in. So that was the only thing. Otherwise, for being realistic, I did not include a shower. You definitely could. There's the one that comes with outdoor retreat that is basically like the solar shower. So you could set it up wherever, take a shower wherever. I just didn't feel like it fit in anywhere. It looked kind of, yeah, it looked weird. So you can add that in, or you can keep it kind of realistic, and your Sims are gonna be a little bit stinky when they come home from vacation, but hey, that's camping and being out in the middle of nowhere. Realistic. Yeah, and I put this fire pit in here too. I figured that would be nice to just get away and have a little bit of a fire. From the looks of it, it seems like most of the fire spotters have a around 7 to 9 hour workday, and if things aren't busy, then they can do other stuff, and a lot of them will go hiking or do gardening, which is also why I included some little gardening boxes on the lower level of the tower. So yeah, very interesting. I would definitely read that article if you want to kind of learn about their lives and what it's like. So we're getting near the end, just finishing up some landscaping. So don't forget to give us a like if you've enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're not following us already. We have a lot of fun on this channel. We do really unique stuff like this. I plan on doing more cool, unique stuff like this. I have ideas. We're on social media. The links will be in the description box for that if you want to follow us. Otherwise, sit back, relax, enjoy the rest of the video, and we will see you next week. Bye!
Up as firefighters, you got me dancing in your storm. I'm looking like a breeze, but really you're a forest fire. You got me feeling uncomplicated. Whatever happens is meant for us. Rushing into all the situations. Whatever happened, we came there first. Go a little wild is your personal expression. Far over the line, tell me we ain't something special. Wrap me around your solar system, make me do whatever that you want me to do. You got me dancing in your storm, burning everything we know, dressing up as firefighters. You got me dancing in your storm, looking like a breeze, but really you're a forest fire. Looking like a breeze, but really you're a forest fire. Looking like a breeze, but really you're a forest fire. Maybe forget about the consequences. Wherever we're going fast. On top of the world of our independence. Laughing whenever we screw it up. Go a little wild is your personal expression. Far over the line, tell me we ain't something special. Wrap me around your solar system, make me do whatever that you want me to do. You got me dancing in your storm, burning everything we know, dressing up as firefighters. You got me dancing in your storm, looking like a breeze, but really you're a forest fire. Looking like a breeze, but really you're a forest fire. Looking like a breeze, but really you're a forest fire. You got me dancing in your storm, burning everything we know, dressing up as firefighters. You got me dancing in your storm.